but we are recording this podcast right after the news of the Maxx Crosby trade falling apart. It is no longer going to happen. He will not be sent to Baltimore. The picks will go back to Baltimore. Crosby will go back to the Raiders. Fellas, I know I kind of just jumped into it and didn't really ask you guys how you're feeling, but I figured this was big enough news that that could be put on the back burner for a second. But what are your guys' thoughts on this move?
Yeah, I mean, I posted a couple TikToks slash Instagram reels, whatever, if you guys want a bit more of my opinion on at least what I thought about Maxx Crosby on the Ravens. I thought that would have been a heck of a fit. Feels like we've been mocking the Ravens to get an elite edge rusher for the past like 3 years, and they had one for 3 days. But I guess he failed his physical or something, which, I mean, he missed the last 2 games of the season. We kind of already knew that he wasn't in perfect health, but he's been on track for recovery. So it kind of just feels like the Ravens were like, oh, we have more guys we want to sign in free agency, but we don't have money anymore. So we have like another, I don't know, 24 hours. Let's just call this one back, get some cap space back. That's kind of what this feels like.
First of all, the last like 4 hours of sports news has been just unbelievable by itself.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, or if you're just someone that, yeah, we're changing the logo real quick. We're doing a
They let me on the
hardwood
basketball
combos.
show. Yeah.
Yeah, Bam Adebayo passing Kobe Bryant for the most points scored in a single NBA game that was caught on camera. 83 points. Unbelievable. I don't think we'll ever see a game like that ever again. Dawson, how many free throws did he end up shooting? Dawson, you're muted.
43.
43.
36 for 43 from the free throw line. 14 for 16 from the free throw line in the fourth quarter in a game that they won by 20, by the way.
So what a moment. Doesn't matter who they're playing. Like, it's just an unbelievable mark that I don't think we would ever see someone ever score 80 again. And here we are talking about someone passing Kobe Bryant up, which, I mean, granted, Kobe's record was 81, so it wasn't necessarily like if you're going to score more than 80, you're probably going to pass Kobe. But credit to Bam. But back to the Between the Hashes podcast, as Dawson changes the graphic again. Yeah, this was weird. I got a notification. I may have gotten upset with ESPN this past fall, and it made me delete the ESPN app, and I used the Score, which I think purchased, funny enough, ESPN's ESPN Bet, but I don't think Disney owns the Score. I could be wrong, and if I am, I would love to be told that I am wrong on that. But I got the notification that Maxx Crosby is not going to be a Raven, and I was like, that's weird. Sometimes I get like memes or like weird social media posts or whatever from that app. So I was like, that's got to be fake. And then Braden, like few seconds later, sends a message with the screenshot of the tweet saying that he's not going to be a Raven. And it's like, oh, this is bad. This is like, or not bad, but like, this is real. Like what is going on? Probably the craziest trade to happen, at least in recent memory, at least in my lifetime of being a fan of the NFL. What made me terrified of the Ravens next year now turns back into the same old Ravens, I guess. And the Raiders are stuck per usual. So I if it's a physical issue, I'm interested to hear what the actual like issue is. Not that we like need like we deserve to hear what it is, but we probably will hear a little bit about something about it at some point. But this is crazy. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen this before.
No, certainly not to this magnitude. A move this impactful for one team and impactful for the Raiders in that matter, because they would have gotten the 14th pick in the draft and a first rounder next year. Ian Rappaport's article came out about this trade not going through, and here's what he said in the middle of it. Quote, while Crosby is ahead of schedule and the repair was considered to be a best case scenario situation, it likely means he won't be medically cleared before free agency, which we now found out, or until the new league year begins on March 11th. Teams can trust their medical experts and project a player's health, so a trade is at least possible, but rarely are players not finished with rehab, including blockbuster trades. So, he goes on to say later in the article, this likely means if Crosby is traded, it will probably be much later, perhaps after or right before the draft. So 4 or 5 weeks down the road, which is crazy considering this thing was all but sealed on Friday night, and now we're 72 hours after the fact.
He posted a thank you to to the Raiders. Maxx Crosby posted a 12-minute closing speech for his tenure for the Raiders, and he's just back now. It's
insert the Wolf of Wall Street "I'm not going anywhere" meme, because that's basically what this feels like at this point.
like the closest thing that I can even possibly think of to this type of situation is going back to Between the Hatches moment. It's like when Mark Williams was traded for Dalton Connect and a pick or whatever, and then 6 hours later it got rescinded because Mark Williams failed the physical. But it's like this times a million.
Yeah,
Like Mark Williams is a good basketball player. Don't get me wrong, but he's not. He does not have the impact on the game Maxx Crosby does. Not even close.
shout out Connect as well.
There we go.
Didn't think we'd ever have a mention on him on either podcast, but here we are.
I just got a notification here. Raiders already have received calls from several teams inquiring about the availability of Maxx Crosby in a trade. For now, the Raiders are prepared to get Crosby healthy and have him play for Las Vegas, but they are listening to other teams. Per Adam Schefter, I just got that now.
He's an Indiana Bear.
So that's my next question for you guys. So now this is no longer going to be with Baltimore. I would find it really hard to believe they even try to rework this trade later down the road. It seems like Baltimore's out of the picture. That his physical must have been bad enough to be like, we're not even touching this with a 10-foot pole. But where do you think some teams that Crosby could be traded to when he eventually is healthy enough where he could pass physical?
I mean, Brock mentioned the Bears. I like that fit. This kind of just feels like Jerry wins by doing absolutely nothing. It kind of feels like the Cowboys are about to just slip, fall, stumble into the greatest deal ever. And all of a sudden, Jerry Jones... Luigi wins by doing absolutely nothing once again. It is... I cannot believe this is about to happen, but it kind of just... It feels like the train is running towards the end of the tracks, and there's just nothing you can do about it.
And for all those Cowboy fans that are going to be super hyped and say that they're back after this trade happens, if that does in fact happen, just careful, because we've seen Cowboys make moves that people think shakes the NFL to its core and all the fans knowing that Dallas might be back, but
here's
the Cowboys.
Here's the thing with Dallas making that move. Doesn't that contradict everything they did about trading Parsons?
Not if they get him for one first-round pick.
They traded Parsons. Yeah, I guess if it's 80 cents on the dollar of what Baltimore paid or anything less than that, then it makes sense. But the reason they traded Micah to begin with was hey, we're going to get draft capital, or we're going to get cap space, and we're going to get a lot. We're going to have more flexibility. If they go around in 8 months later, not only trade a first-round pick for Quentin Williams, which we all will forget, but it does happen. The Jets do have the Cowboys pick next year. And they go around and trade another first-rounder for Crosby, and they'll probably have to do something else in that trade. It just seems like really backwards thinking. I don't know if you guys share the same thought process as I do.
Yeah, I get that. That makes sense. But also I think a lot of why they wanted to make the trade to get rid of Micah, as well as draft capital and cap space, was I think they wanted to establish run defense a bit more. Micah's not the greatest run defender. Maxx Crosby is a very good run defender as well as a pass rusher. He's playing 97% of the Raiders snaps at any given game. So he is, I would say, at least 90% of the pass rusher Micah is, and is an even better run defender. So he kind of maybe fits more of what Jerry is looking for, but also like 6 years older. And I think he's still under contract for a couple more years, so it's not you're not having to worry about signing him to that supermax contract.
And if you ask Dallas if the move was just basically like contradicts their move with trading Parsons last offseason, Jerry Jones would like find a way to not admit that. Like he would do everything in his response not to say at all that has
Yeah.
I get what
guess
I get what you mean, Dawson, for sure. But I don't know. I think Dallas doesn't really care. They won't ever admit that they did anything wrong, but at the same time, they'll take whatever they can get at this point, especially knowing that just this era of Dallas, the Dallas Cowboys is like, I feel like the seasons, if not the weeks, are numbered in terms of the current setup. I don't know.
I know this is probably the first time I've ever brought up this website before on the pod, but Kalshi, the prediction market land, has odds on this. Funny enough, Chicago is the favorite, quote unquote. I know we take this with a grain of salt. The next option is either stays with the Raiders this season or flat out retires, which isn't going to happen. And then Dallas, Philadelphia, and Cincinnati round out the top five.
You want to talk about
right.
things that would contradict what a team has been doing.
Hey,
Of all the things that will never happen, that is one of them.
yeah.
He'd end up in Arizona before he ends up a Bengal.
I'm really scared that Philly's going to get wind that Dallas is getting ready to make a huge offer, and Philly's just going to come in and out.
I would believe Cleveland would trade for Maxx Crosby before Cincinnati.
Could you imagine the pass rush on that team?
They just
Why don't you?
They just do the anti-Bengals.
Just defense.
Listen, just form Ohio into just one mega team and dominate.
You honestly, I don't hate it.
You can just call them the Ohio Buckeyes.
Yeah, at that point, you could.
Don't disrespect the Ohio Bobcats like that.
Sorry.
No, but
Bully Green.
it's so funny. Like we recorded,
Those
was it
who know.
last Tuesday? When did we record the last episode of this? Monday?
Tuesday or Wednesday, I think.
Okay. And literally like 2 or 3 days after we recorded, like the blockbuster trade happens, and it feels like every time we record an episode of something, whether it's Between the Hashes or Hardwood Convos, something crazy happens after said episode is posted.
Yeah.
That being the Crosby trade on Friday, and I was like kind of bummed out. I'm like, man, that would have been kind of cool to like react to like the night after, and good thing we ended up waiting a couple of days because
Yeah.
That's what you got me for.
That's what I'm
I'll
saying.
let myself look like an idiot for 3 days.
If
and
you're
then
not following
I can
us on
correct the
social
record
media,
afterwards.
Braden's doing some great work with our social media content, reacting quickly to pretty much anything and everything going on in the NFL that's worth talking about.
As quick as I can. I have rather limited time on my schedule, but
This
usually
dude's
around
taking his
like
lunch break.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I go to my lunch break, go sit outside and record for like 10 minutes, eat, and then I'm doing what I can to get you all as much as I can. We ball. Ain't that right?
No, and again, I guess this stems into like our next talking point, unless you guys have anything else to add on the Maxx Crosby saga.
Where do you want him to go? Yeah, we kind of mentioned some teams. Where do you think he'll end up? Do you think he's still a Raider?
I want him out of the AFC West because that is someone I just do not like playing twice a year because he's really good and he competes so hard. Like, even regardless of the record that the Raiders will have this year, because I'm sure they will not be close to a contender, he will still compete every single play. I want him in the NFC. I want you guys to have to deal with him. Maybe not, I don't think the NFC West will get him,
We are suffering enough.
but I do think it's going to be Chicago. Like, that's always been, like, the
I don't know
rumor.
what the Cap situation is. Is there any chance he could find a way in San Francisco?
I mean, probably not now.
Okay.
I mean, if they got rid of a certain left tackle, I know they could free up a bunch of cap space.
But you can't
but
do
then
that. You
Brock
can't do
Purdy
that.
would be actually like canned chicken in the
Yeah.
backfield.
True. Let's see. says right now San Francisco has like 20 million, but that doesn't account for any of the signings that have happened
No.
because technically the league year hasn't started until the 11th. I
Yeah.
think at 4 o'clock, so nothing can become official. But no, that would be him and Bosa, and
That's what I
Warner
was thinking.
is in your front seven. Whew. Whew. I don't know. That'd be
Give me
unreal.
more reason to have no hope of watching the NFC West next year.
Yeah. But
We
no.
got our quarterback though.
Yeah. To answer your question, I think Chicago is probably going to be the team that lands him because they just seem like a team that's like right there. They just need one more move, and feels like when they traded for Khalil Mack from the Raiders. Funny enough, like 8 years ago, where it's like, hey, we have a good defense. Like we're just gonna put ourselves into contender mode. Where I think that year was double doink, if I'm not mistaken. They won 12 games in the regular season. Like they had a objectively really good season, and if it wasn't for Cody Parkey, maybe we're having a different talking point.
Do you know how funny it is that we have so quickly went from the Lions have a good future to has the Lions window already passed them by? Like I don't even think it's a question. I truly am on the boat of like I think the Lions may have like their window of being a locked like top contender I think is almost pretty much past them by. Not that they won't ever get back to that level, but it's crazy. Chicago's coming from them, obviously, and then other teams in the NFC have like tried to rebuild their rosters to the point where I'm worried that Detroit's getting left behind, and they're going to be back in the situation where who knows if they're going to be even competing for the playoffs in the next couple of years. Because, I mean, you got just in their division, you got Chicago, who, let's say they get Crosby, I think would be the front runner to run away with their division. And then, depending on what Minnesota does, you potentially have a race for second place between Green Bay, Detroit, and Minnesota. And so, again, this is probably a little bit of an overreaction, but I think it's crazy how quickly it went from the Lions have a very bright future to has the window already kind of passed them by?
Yeah, because it sounds like all the NFC North teams are taking steps ahead. Even Minnesota, who objectively did not have a great year last year, and we don't know if they have their answer at quarterback. Sounds like they could potentially get Kyler, and I think Kyler makes that offense immediately better. I think Kyler's a way better quarterback in my eyes than JJ McCarthy.
People need to remember how good Kyler was when he was healthy with DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
Like those two together was so fun to watch.
Yeah. One more thing I want to add. Who do you think this hurts more in the trade not going through? Does this hurt Baltimore more, or does this hurt the Raiders more? And I know the default answer might be Baltimore, but I think at this point the Raiders are willing to move on and cut ties.
Yeah, I think this hurts the Raiders like a lot more. They just divvied out a ton of money to a lot of free agents, and now they just added $30 million back to their books. Like, they have a lot better roster now with Maxx Crosby on their defense, but they also are now out 2 first-round picks to help them with their rebuild. So, and Maxx Crosby obviously is not within their timeline to be able to like win anything with him. So I really don't. Yeah, I don't know if I don't think there's a way that he stays on their roster by the time the season starts, and they're definitely not going to get 2 first-round picks for him now.
And also his trade value is shrunk too. I feel like just the idea of the reason that this trade fell through is because of physical related things and not passing it. Like more teams are not going to be willing to give up 2 first-round picks for that.
No, I think the odds for Baltimore went up like substantially. They were the favorites in the AFC because of this move, because Crosby makes that defense that much better. And for the Raiders, like, you had the 14th pick and you're like, oh my God, we could get like Mendoza at 1 and then one of the top 3 guys receiver wise at 14. And then now you're building something on offense. Or take the best defensive player available. And to be 72 hours after the fact of the trade going through and now it's not is devastating for both teams at this point.